Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach, and today I'm talking about why she prefers Mr. Wrong over Prince Charming. Okay, so the difference between Mr. Wrong and Prince Charming in this video is this, okay? Mr. Wrong doesn't put her on a pedestal. He doesn't treat her like a princess. He doesn't treat her better than what she deserves. Now that doesn't mean that you're mean. It doesn't mean that you're cold to her. Okay? It just means that you're treating her like another human being. You're not treating her better than what she deserves. Because when you first start dating a woman, what's important to know is that you've only spent a little bit of time with her. And you may not have spent any time with her yet if the date hasn't, happened yet. So you can start treating a woman more like a princess if that's what you really, really want to do, and that's how you authentically feel in your heart. When you've got to know her a bit, because you don't know who she is. When you first start dating a woman, you don't know her personality. In fact, you don't really know a woman properly until things start getting more serious, right? And you're spending like days together, like you're spending weeks together. Maybe you've even moved in together a little bit, or maybe you just spend the weekends together. You got to spend a lot of amount of time with a woman to figure out if she deserves extra attention, okay? Because, for example, she may not deserve your undying devotion out the gate, right? Because let's say when you get into a more committed relationship with her, you actually find out there's a lot of things that are not right, that are not ideal for you. So, for example, maybe she's rubbish with money. She just spends it all the time when she's in debt, right? Maybe she doesn't handle pressure very well, right? So when things hit the fan, she goes crazy, or she goes binge drinking, or whatever it may be. Like, you don't know what's going on. You don't know this woman. You don't know if she deserves your undying devotion. Okay, which is why you wait until you're more in a more committed thing with her, and you figured out who she is. You shouldn't be being overly romantic and putting her on a pedestal if you've only just met, or you've only spent just a couple of hours together. You shouldn't be doing that, okay? Because you don't know who she is, simply, right? Now, of course, that's very hard to do, because you may see her and be visually stimulated, visually attracted, and you might be coming up with scenarios and fantasies in your head about how great she's going to be. But in reality, it's not going to be like that, okay? Because you're just making all this stuff up in your head, especially if you've only spent a limited amount of time with her. Okay, you're projecting how you want her to be. Okay, you're thinking about her potential. You're falling in love with the potential, not who she is. Okay, which is why you've got to remain quite skeptical throughout the dating process, and even a little bit when things get more serious and you start spending loads and loads and loads of time together. You have to remain skeptical until you know that you can open your heart to her, okay? And therefore, you can drop the guard a bit. You don't have to play as cool as much. And then you can start being more, let's say, devoted to her, okay? Emotionally, okay? And doing things like writing love letters, sending her flowers and things. A woman who has spent a limited amount of time with you does not deserve those things. And you know what? She knows it. That's why it creeps women out when a guy goes from 0 to 100 straight away, right? And they're already telling her that I'm in love with you, right? They're already saying these things, even though they've only been on one date. And this happened to my wife, and it creeped her out, and made her feel really uncomfortable. She went out on one date with a woman when she was still dating, before she met me, and this woman sent her 2 bunches of flowers after the first date and sent her a text message saying, "I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you." Okay? That creeped the shit out of her. Why? Because it's too much too soon. She's only spent a limited amount of time with her. How does she know that she's the one, that she can't wait to spend the rest of her life together with her? That it's just too much too soon. So don't do anything like that, okay? First of all, it's going to scare the women away, and secondly, it's not logically like the right frame of mind, because you don't know who she is. You haven't spent enough time with her. Okay, so that's what you got to think about. You got to think about these things. Okay, you got to think, okay, I've spent one date with her. We've spent 2 hours together. Do I send her a message telling her that I like her a lot or that I'm in love with her? I've only spent 2 hours with her. I don't know her, right? She didn't tell me everything about her life. I don't know how she's going to handle different things. I don't know what it's going to be like living with her. I don't know what it's going to be like when we face struggles together and how she's going to respond to those things, okay? You got to think about these things. I know it's not easy, because if you're emotionally attached straight away and you get emotionally attached really quickly, like what I do, and I've been in that place many times. It's very difficult to keep that self-restraint, but you have to come from, you don't want to come from the emotional standpoint. You've got to think of it from the logical standpoint. I don't know her very well, okay? So why does she choose Mr. Wrong? Right? Mr. Wrong doesn't do those things. Mr. Wrong isn't devoted to her straight away. He doesn't do the nice guy thing of treating a woman too well too soon and treating her like a princess. Right? Mr. Wrong sees her for the human being that she is, and is less needy and less insecure, right? Because he has his own. Now, obviously, with Mr. Wrong, it's coming from a place of insecurity as well. Because if we're talking about a real Mr. Wrong, then a real Mr. Wrong is someone who's actually controlling and abusive, right? But usually, these guys get lots of women because they have this confidence about themselves, and they have this controlling behavior. Okay, that women in the beginning find very attractive, because he's saying, we should meet out this place at this time, and it basically just shows strong leadership, and she mistakes the controlling behavior for leadership. But when they get into a relationship and she starts to exert some kind of freedom, like, oh, I'm going to go see my mum today, he's like, no, you're not going to do that, we're going to do this instead, you're not seeing your family. Right, and that's when the controlling behavior starts to surface, and then she starts to realize that she's actually made a big mistake. But sometimes when this kind of thing starts to show, it's often too late. Maybe she's already pregnant, maybe they're engaged already. There's a lot of things that could have happened in that time, and now she can't escape, right? Which is obviously not good, right? But the reason she was attracted to Mr. Wrong over maybe the other guys who were being too nice was because he was showing this confidence and leadership energy, okay? But the good news is that you can display these qualities, you can display the Mr. Wrong qualities, right? While still being a kind man at heart, still being a nice man at heart, okay? So one of the things that you can do is to display that more leadership quality, okay? And to not fall at her feet or every single moment, right? And to not be needy and insecure, okay? So it's all about, basically, you just want to go at her pace, because women tend to fall in love much slower than what men do. So basically, if you want to tell her that you love her, and you've got that desire, you're like, oh, I just want to say I love you because I just like her so much. Has she said it to you yet? If she hasn't said it to you yet, it's likely she's not ready for it. She's not ready to hear it from you. So just wait for her to say these things first. Wait for her to tell you that she really likes you, okay? It's all about going at her level, okay? Instead of going at your level, which may be too much, okay? And forcing her to feel something she hasn't quite felt yet. Because a lot of guys think, oh, well, this is just game playing. This is just, this is just manipulation. But it's not, okay? Because you're like, well, I need to show that this is where I am, and this is my intent, and this is how I feel, and if I'm not showing this, then I'm not being authentic. But the thing is that if you do that too soon, then if she was going to fall in love with you eventually, she will stop, okay? Because like I said, women fall in love slower. And the reason why women fall in love slower is because of stranger danger. It's something that little girls have been programmed into their minds by their parents, especially if they had good parents, right? That you got to be wary of men who you meet, right? You got to be stranger danger. You got to be careful with strange men. And if this was a woman that you met on a dating app, then she's going to be extra cautious, because again, she doesn't know who you are. She doesn't know that She doesn't know that you're safe, okay? So it takes a while for a woman to feel safe and comfortable around you, because it's been drummed into women's heads since they've been little girls, just like it's been drummed into mine. You got to be careful of strange men who you don't know, okay? So it takes her a while to warm up to you and to feel comfortable, okay? Now, you may be comfortable right out the gate and in love with her, right? But if she isn't there yet and she isn't comfortable yet, then she can't, because first of all, she needs to feel comfortable in order to fall in love, okay? So that's something that you've got to pay attention to, okay? So that's why it's not playing games. It's just letting her get to the point where she starts to feel comfortable, where she starts to warm up to you, and therefore it gives her the opportunity to fall in love with you. But this can happen over a few weeks, right? Over a few dates, right? And then you start spending more time together, and that's usually when she starts to fall in love with you. So it's not about playing games. It's about going at her pace, okay? Now, if you're in love with her from the gate, right, and you're like, oh yeah, but I'm really attracted to her, I really, really like her, it's actually very selfish of you to put that all on her straight away, when she could have clearly, if you just waited and given her a few weeks to fall in love with you, she could get to the same level that you're at, okay? But because you're trying to force things and you want things to happen sooner, and you need her validation and you need a relationship now, and you're desperate for it, you've just ruined everything. Even though women fall in love slower, it doesn't mean that she won't get to the same level as you. It just means that she falls in love at a different pace. You fall in love quicker, she falls in love slower. Okay, so you go at her pace. So you can both get to the point where you've got the same level of attraction. That's why you hold your cards close to your chest. I had to do this with my wife, okay? Because I'm someone who falls in love really, really fast, okay? Because I believe that I tend to be a little bit more masculine in my ways of thinking. Obviously, that doesn't mean that I'm a man. It's just, there's no way I'm ever going to be more masculine than an actual man. It's just, that's just the way that I think. And I grew up around brothers. I had a father who was my role model for a very long time. My role models have always been men, and it's just something that I've just felt is part of my personality and who I am. Now, what I mean by that then is that I fell in love really, really fast with my wife. Like, I was ready to tell her that I was in love with her the first time I saw her, but I had to hold back, okay? And I especially had to hold back with my wife because she was actually quite shy, okay? So, and if I had done what that woman had done, which was sending her 2 bunches of flowers and telling her straight away that I really liked her and I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her, then guess what would have happened? She would have dumped me and not talked to me anymore like she did that woman, okay? But now we're married and we're happy together, and it's all because I let her fall in love with me at her pace, because I knew that she was attracted to me, right? I could tell that by the fact that she kept on going out on dates with me, and the fact that I could, at some points during that time, I could really sense her attraction for me. But I had to let her come to me. I had to let her fall in love at her pace, not my selfish pace, okay? And that's just something that you have to do, okay? And may seem like you're being Mr. Wrong, because when you really want to be Prince Charming, but in reality, she will pick Mr. Wrong 1,000 times over the nice guy that falls in love with her too fast and comes on too strong too soon. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.